it's a year like no other is really our theme, and we have to be flexible and fluid and constantly communicate and work together to try to do the best we can for our students' learning and also for their safety and security.
So students this year, families had the option of either being at school at least part of the time or being full time at home for the first semester. Jason, about what percentage of families decided to have at home virtual learning only?
We're right about, I want to say we're about 22% right now that are at home virtual learning only. Um, we anticipate that number going down only because over the last 2 days, as school has gotten closer, we've probably already processed another 10 to 15 kids back into at school learning. At home learners will go through their orientation tomorrow from about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in 1 hour increments to get them all set. So we anticipate additional students and families choosing to come to school at that time. It's a different time every day right now with the pandemic. So people are making decisions kind of as they go, and what they may have felt comfortable with a month ago or not comfortable with, they might be different now, is what we're finding.
Jason, for a family that is going to be doing at home learning, how is that going to compare to what we did in March, April, and May? Is it going to be similar kind of, go at your own pace, or will there be more direct interaction with the classroom teacher during a specified classroom time?
So for students that are learning at home, it's very different than last spring. We're using a self-contained learning platform called Edgenuity, which we already owned and utilized through summer school and our credit remediation programs and our alternative school. So those students will be learning through that modality. They will do so at their own pace, but knowing that each day they have to do 5 hours of instruction in their five courses, so an hour in each one between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. Because we are mandated now, different than the spring, to report attendance on a daily basis and process that attendance for all at school and at home learners.
Okay. Now, switching gears to the families and students, the families that chose to have their students be at school. It isn't going to be every day at school. So, to break it down in the most simple terms, in a 2 week period, a student is going to be learning virtually for 5 days and be in the classroom 5 days. That's basically it, right?
That's correct. And we split up those two groups with juniors, seniors, and freshmen and sophomore.
And a typical day now for if a student is going to be at school on a particular day, whether they're freshman, sophomore in one group and juniors and seniors in the other group, as you mentioned, those are split up. But what will the beginning of the day look like for these students, and how long will it be? I mean, what's going to be different in the COVID environment than it was previously?
I think that one of the biggest differences right away is normally we believe in having our building open for our students in our community, and we cannot do that this year. We normally open at 6:30 in the morning with supervision. This year we won't begin to open until 7:15, which is right around the time our buses start to arrive. Students will be allowed in the hallways, but to go into any classroom, library, cafeteria, they'll be screened and their temperature will be taken. And then every student will be screened at the start of first hour. Or by the main office if they're a SALC or WACC student first hour and they're not at school. So that's a big way it's different. And additionally, at school learners will still be on the same bell schedule, whether at school or at home. So first hour takes place at 8 o'clock, whether you're at school or at home, because we'll be utilizing Zoom, and teachers will Zoom instruct every day. So when students are at school learning and they're here for those 5 days within a 2 week period, as you said, they'll be in the classroom. But when they're at home, they'll be in the classroom learning the same way, but they'll just be in their kitchen or in their desk or whatever their parents have established for them to learn just as if they were in the classroom through their MacBook and through Zoom.
So on Jason, wandering the high school on a given day, if you figure there's 1,000 students and, let's say, 300 of them are going to be at home exclusively during this fall semester. So On a given day, as opposed to 1,000 students that are roaming the halls, you're looking at probably 350. Is that an accurate count on my part?
We're well over 1,000 kids this year. So I think our fresh off days we have 421 as of this morning, and about 390 for junior senior days.
Okay, and that leads me to my next question about lunchtime, because that has to be a lot different than it has been in the past for obvious reasons. But it's got to be a lot easier to let's say 400 students during lunchtime. How's that going to work?
So our schedule is it's very different to begin with. I mean, we took our classes down to 40 minutes because being a unit district, we have to ensure that all of our students are getting out at close to the same time for busing. So we have to release around 1:25. 1:30 is basically the release time for the district. We're releasing at 1:25. So our students will be here for 40-minute classes, and they'll have like a 15-minute lunch snack break. The hard part about Sterling High School is that in order to, even with 400 kids in a building and to have an area where only 50 kids with cafeteria staff and 3 supervisors, really about 40 kids at a time, are able to eat, we'd have to start lunch at about 8:30 in the morning to get everyone through by 1:30. And so what we did is we went to a snack and a mask break time where we'll utilize the cafeteria as kind of almost like a walk-through cafeteria. They'll still be able to get a vegetable and a fruit and a sandwich, almost like a Culver's type snack pack or a Happy Meal kind of setting with McDonald's. But those healthy options that Aramark has available. We'll have the courtyards open for kids to kind of walk through and utilize, take their mask off while they socially distance outside. We'll supervise all those areas. And then they'll be able to make their way from their 4th hour class to their 5th hour class and finish while they're in there. Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Public Health do allow for masks to be off in the building while a student eats. So if they choose to go to their 5th hour class and eat in there, they'll be able to take their mask off for that short amount of time. But one of the other things that was a positive about the kids who chose to learn at home and really do what was best for them and their families is it allowed us to reduce class size. So we have many classes where you'd normally see 27 or 28 kids in a room, 22, 23, 24, 18 in some of our high-level AP courses. So there's plenty of room in that 5th hour class to really take your mask off and have your lunch if you need to and still socially distance. But it's something we've never done before, Jim, and we're nervous for the start of it, obviously, just because anytime you do something new, there's always kinks iron out. But we feel that at Sterling High School, we have a good plan and that we're anxious for the students to come this Friday.
Yeah, the plan is the plan, but when reality sets in, as we've learned since March, you've got to be ready to pivot. And I'm assuming you don't have to elaborate on this too much, but you've got some contingencies. I assume if you know where you need to go if you have to make adjustments, right?
Sure. So, and like I said, flexibility and fluidity is our motto this year for Sterling High School, and we know that we have to adjust on the fly. Um, Janet Barnhart and Amy Downs, my associate principals, and I have been trying to plan out any possible situation as we go forward, so we feel we have a good grasp. Try not to overwhelm our staff at the start of the year, but know that I have 2 children in the building. I have a junior and a freshman. I know Mrs. Barnhart had students just graduate. Amy is sending her kids to school as well at their appropriate age levels. So we want to do what's best for our own kids, for our community's kids, and allow our kids to get back to the at-school instructional environment that they need and to continue to develop and that they want from what we hear from them.